have some music playing so we can get our stuff together. Turn that down a little bit. Make sure the connection is strong. 1 second. Connection look like it's starting to get stable. All right, what's up, people? It's Now My News, Larry Moe. I came to present the good brother Kerry Davis out of the movement African American Ain't Africans, and I'm just here to listen. I'm here to let the brother explain exactly about, because he's like one of the pioneers of the Aboriginal community. So I want him to explain from his perspective about where we come from as a people. So, brother, can you please introduce yourself to the people? I mean, you really don't need an introduction, but if you can just introduce yourself to my people on this channel.
First of all, it's not a movement, because a movement, we're not going anywhere. The movement is of people that is coming over here telling you who you are. If you look at what's going on, especially in the so-called African American community, most of the information we get is from foreigners telling us who we are.
Right. Sorry about that.
We don't go through our mothers, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, because the women are the ones who give birth to us all. We're still stuck in this Christian paradigm where men give birth to women, and we're arrogant about it. You have men say that I have the seeds to deliver children, and when you try to say no, you fertilize the seed. Don't you fertilize the eggs that are passed down through the women, through their grandmothers, their mothers? Then you get this thing where it's hard for brothers to communicate, because we can't even look at natural processes and realize that we're a part of a natural process. So it's not that we're a movement somewhere. We're not recognizing that we have all these people coming from all over the world, from the other side of the planet, Africa, Asia, and Europe. That's one landmass. We don't even see that. We won't even look at a map and see what's happening to us. And then this is the kind of information we pass on to our children. And when our children go out there and get destroyed, we don't have an answer for them. And that has to stop.
I agree with that. Yeah, but for the most part, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I know I got a little feedback. I'm trying to correct that. But yeah, for the most part, I definitely agree with that. That we need to educate our children and our people on the right information of who we are. And yeah, it's not a movement. It's because we're not moving away as a people. So yeah, I'll correct that.
You're coming in I can't hear you now.
Oh, okay. So give me 1 second. All right. Can you hear me now?
Much better.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. This is not a movement. We're not moving nowhere as a people, and we definitely need to tighten that up. As far as educating our people on who we are. And I agree with that. Now, but what I do have a couple of questions, because when I came to your group a while ago, I was uneducated on a lot of this information. So, but I do want to know, why do some people think that slavery never happened? Because this is coming from the Aboriginal community. I'll say, all of us are Aboriginals, but we have sectioned the information off. So we say the Aboriginal community. People say that slavery never happened. So could you expound on that? Because I don't think you believe. I never heard you say that, but I've been hearing a lot of people saying it never happened. I don't think it happened on the scale that it happened, but can you expound on that for the people?
So it's where we are now. So it's where we are now. First of all, we have been trained by outsiders, and they tell you everything you need to know about yourself. And I'll use the examples of when you speak of what is being said, just so you'll know. Let's take the term Aboriginal. You have to remember, because the so-called black man, and that's another misnomer, and we'll get into that later. The so-called black man loves to tell you how these Europeans came out of caves and stuff like that, and we taught them how to speak and we taught them how to write and all of that.
Right.
So then, when you look at their words and their letters and stuff and how they spell, if you say if they learned from the Egyptians wrote in pictures.
Right. Hieroglyphs.
So when they started forming letters from the Arabics, they spoke in grunts and moans. They were cave people. So then when they start developing their letters, they start putting they was
Now, when you say they,
This,
who are you preferring to? Are you preferring to Europeans or are you preferring to people? Period.
I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about the people who so-called black people are their masters.
Right.
White people tell black people what to do.
Right.
See, black people don't think. They don't believe in no thinking. They wait for their boss to tell them what to do. This is a truth.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on.
I don't know. Why are you talking like that? We don't like the truth. So when these people started coming up with words, they came up with letters. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So to start making their words, they start putting these letters together. And so one of the letters they put together are the two first letters, AB, A-B.
Right.
We take these words and act like we've come up with these words ourselves, and we try to use them to make things better for them, and we normally make things work. Here's an example. The Aboriginal community. The term Aboriginal means not original.
Yeah, yeah. Ab means away from.
Right. But we keep using the word, and we'll keep saying, "Oh, when you go to court, when you use the court, that's how they." No, you're supposed to figure out stuff for yourself. You can't use things that they use in their history and their experience. You can't use it for you, and we'll fight that.
Yeah.
The term Aboriginal means not original.
Yeah, but as I did etymology study, I didn't mean to cut you off, but as I did a little bit of etymology study, right, that word is actually a joint. I mean, it's one word. They didn't split it like how abnormal it's being split, and you say it's not normal. So I actually thought the same thing until I went in, and they saying that's just one word. You can't use it as
right.
the
But so
abdomen.
do you think that, so you've heard the story that just came out last week of some Christian missionary going over to a place in India, and they filled him with arrows.
No, I didn't hear about that.
You didn't hear about that? You didn't
Nope.
hear about that Christian missionary that went over to
Oh,
try to
oh, I
take
think yeah. I think I did hear about that. Yeah, I didn't really
yeah.
look at the story, but I briefly heard about it. Yeah.
So, do you think those people call themselves what other people call them?
Mm-mm, definitely not.
What do you what do you do?
What you mean?
Whatever somebody whatever somebody calls you, you take the word and make and act like and run with it. If they call you black, and if somebody say, brother, if you take your cell phone and put it up to your skin, you're obviously not black.
Right.
Look, you nigga, you gonna tell me nothing? I can do what I want to do.
Yeah,
This
that's
is how we are.
from my understanding. Black is a status. It's not our cut. It's not who we are. You know, that's a crayon color.
No,
So
no. I'm not saying that. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm saying our our words and our thoughts are given to us by someone else. When we use them against ourselves, we'll never get out of the situation we're in. This is just basic, simple stuff. It's like if you call like the brothers call they women bitches and hoes.
mm-hmm.
So since they start calling women that, I know they've been calling them that for a long time, but since they've made it mainstream when rap music came out in the late 80s, how have the women, what have they vibrated to?
Yeah, being called bitches.
They love it. Matter of fact, they scratch your eyeballs out if you don't call them that. But we always try to defend it. So when I say we call ourselves Aboriginal, what did your people call themselves? Then you don't just say anything.
Some would say our people call themselves Moors. What you think about that? I know you know how Aboriginal when you think about the Moors.
So where do Moors come from?
Now, see, let me explain what I think Moors come from. Now, all right, the Moors of Morocco, they come over there in East Morocco. But the definition of Moor, if you say we using their words, but we using theirs now, the definition of Moor means dark people. You know what I'm saying? So that everybody that dark could be Moors.
Yeah. No. What does the word dark mean?
What dark? I mean, dark means of light.
No. It means gloomy. Dark means this.
All right, well, I won't use the word dark. I will use the
No.
Let's
use the word
melanated.
You won't use.
Let's use melanated.
Right. What does that mean?
What does it mean? Brown pigmentation. It's compound in the animal body.
How does that take you out of the position you're in now?
It doesn't. But see, what do you have? The solution do you have that take us out of the position that we're in?
I would say call yourself to take you out to put you on your land. That's what you do with other people.
See,
you call other people. Well, let me finish.
Sorry about that.
You call other people British. You call other people German. You call other people Chinese. Because that connects to a landmass. You know what you call yourself every time? And when somebody tells you, hey, and explains to you, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that, you tell them kick rock.
I call myself Moorish just for the record.
That's cool. So what Moorish American is over here are foreign people.
That's not true because the name American, for one, derives from Moorican. And the word Moorican can have interchangeable vowels that ties the Moors to the land of the Moors. No. That's real. I mean, we don't have some call-ins that come in call, but I can't.
Say that again.
Moorican is American derives from that. You know what I'm saying? Moorican means land of the Moors. You know what I mean? Moorican, that's Morican. And then you have interchangeable vowel. You know what I'm saying? Copper-colored races found here by the Europeans.
I've never heard that. What I've heard, they have a place. Mountain range that goes down Honduras is called the American Mountains.
Heard it.
So this is what I'm saying. We don't take it because we're not nature people. We only take what other people give us and try to fit ourselves into. A perfect example would be like, it's a cat always.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm using my phone now, so I think this might be a better connection.
So this is what's happening, man. The people over in Jamaica could have called themselves Raga.
Right.
You don't know because you won't go find out what they spoke. You got other people telling you. So we were talking about Marcus Garvey.
Right.
So this dude comes up here and tells you back to Africa. He's never been to Africa. Matter of fact, when they kicked him out of America, he went to go live near the Queen. Yeah. And died near the Queen.
He was a Catholic too.
But we follow this dude. Yeah. We believe this dude.
I disagree with him.
No, I'm not, brother. Everything I say, this is not personal.
Oh yeah, I disagree with him, with Marcus Garvey repatriation to Africa. I disagree with that.
Yeah, but how many people believe him? How many people stuck on that paradigm? I don't know the story, but him and Kwame Nkrumah, when Kwame Nkrumah comes here, you know how Africans do. They befriend the Negro over here. So when Kwame Nkrumah became president of Ghana, John Henry Clark figures that he's going to go work for his old friend over in Ghana.
Right.
So to the presidential palace or whatever you call it, and he's waiting for Kwame Nkrumah. And Kwame Nkrumah drives up in his, with all his people. You know what Kwame Nkrumah told him?
What did he tell him?
What you doing in my country?
And what was his reply?
What what most dummies do. If you're an African and he's the president, he would properly say, "Welcome home, brother." He says, "What are you doing in my country?" Everybody on this planet knows who you are. Guess who the only fool that don't know who they are? And then always, don't talk about us like that. You are up here destroying the minds of our children on purpose. Because you know, these Negroes know better, because I ask that question all the time. All the Negroes say is, I'm from Africa. Okay, where in Africa are you from?
Yeah.
Crickets. All you hear is crickets.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. I'm from here. I have no Africans in my family.
No. This is, brother, this is not personal.
Yeah.
This isn't, I'm not putting you in no kind of way. I'm talking about a country full of people who are completely out of their minds. Yeah. I'm talking about kids here. Because kids ask me all the time at these colleges, why are these foreigners can come over here? How can these Asian foreigners and these Pakistani foreigners and these Arabic foreigners, they come over here and their kids can drive SUV Mercedes Benzes to school, and we got to take the bus because your parents taught you that you're ugly, so you got to go buy your hair, you got to go buy everything from them and keep them employed and keep you unemployed. This is what the Negro does, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you bring it up, don't talk like that. Don't talk. What? You think you can go over to China and sell Chinese women hair? You think you can go over to Chinese? You think you can go over to fucking Asian, open up an Asian store, and when the Asians act crazy, you can slap them in the mouth?
That ain't happening.
This is where we are. This is where we are, brother. This is what we do, and we do it with pride. So when you say scholars, that's a bullshit at best.
Well, I'll say teachers.
You have another cat, another one of these so-called scholars called thick books. I had them. I mean, I think these books were 700, 800 pages apiece. Can't tell you how to get to one end of the street to the other. And these are the people who we worship. The brothers do. So you've heard of the brother Amos Wilson?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Because people always say, well, what about Amos Wilson? He called himself African. I'm like, yeah, Bobby Wright. A lot of those people did. And what we never do, we never take things in context. We just take what we hear and repeat it. That's how the Negro gets down to this day. So what's the term being used back then when they were going to school? What was being taught when they were going to school? What did John Henry Clark teach them? What did John Henry Clark would have been a teacher to Amos Wilson?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he taught him. And and this is what we have sisters doing now. They look up these guys' genealogy. Amos Wilson Amos Wilson mama was an Indian woman from Mississippi.
And he telling us niggas.
This is what we're taught. This is what we're taught. We're taught to be stupid, and we go with it. You have guys 60, 50, 60 years old, and you have a platform like the internet that a lot of these kids are on. They don't do stuff how we did it. That you could be changing the whole paradigm again, and we stand on that dumb shit that don't work.
Yeah.
Then you teach your women that. So when you teach your women that, and what do the women do? They teach the kids that. So when you see what's happening to the so-called black man, what do you say? Very, very, very dumb, not trying to figure out nothing. And that's not just the poor people on the street. Don't think that I'm just talking about them, because it's not just about them. These are so-called scholars and who you're going to school for. You used to make the best cars in America. How come you don't make cars no more? You used to be on the money. When they first started issuing currency over here, those weren't Moors on the money. This type of information, you can't tell brothers here that.
Right.
We don't believe it. How you know? Just go pull up the money. All you gotta do is go pull up the money that they were using over here when they first got here. You're on the money. Yeah. They weren't dressing like Moors. All the pictures you see of Moors over in Europe, those weren't the people. People over in Africa look like you. They don't call themselves Ayawana. They don't call themselves Muskegis. You know who the only people who do that?
Yeah.
And you wonder why you disrespect it so bad, and won't change. So when you learn, what does everybody want him to do? Hey man, you got to change that. You got to stop doing that. When I was 18, 19 years old, I used to go to the strip club because that's what I did. That's, all the cats around. I don't do that shit no more. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to learn and move on. We don't do that. You still have brothers 40, 50, 60 years old going to a strip club.
Yeah, I ain't been to a strip club in about 8 years.
So you see what I'm saying? Why? Because you've evolved. You've realized that what the hell do I look like? Got kids in a strip club.
Right.
You change. You evolve. The so-called black man is incapable of evolving. Just by his name alone, black. Black means dead.
Yeah.
Black means white. It's not a term. It's not a term. You won't even come up with your own history. You won't even plot out your own course on this planet. You will wait for somebody else to come do it, right or wrong. Yeah, that's where we are, brother. So my thing is never personal, but my thing is when I talk to brothers and brother, what are you saying? And they never can say what they never haven't had one yet. Say what they say. They say a whole bunch of stupid stuff to keep, and all it does is keep up the confusion.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't deny it.
Which keeps us in the miserable state that we're in. So you have this civil rights generation. So by now, when the civil rights, let's take the Brown versus the Board of Education. Mm-hmm. Did you have as many? You didn't have as many Mexicans. Do you have now? You didn't have as many Chinese people as you do now. You didn't have as many Pakistani people as you do now. You didn't have as many Arabs as you do now. Now, 50 years later, 60 years later, all those people have moved ahead of you in the social. You didn't have as many Koreans have moved ahead of you in the social economic. Explain that.
I can't even explain it.
No, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can explain it. But for you to explain it, you'd have to admit some things. And we do not like to admit when we're wrong. You've been going to school. This is what I mean. These people don't do their things for you. How the so-called African American thinks. He works. His mind is much like an ant. If you ever watch an ant walks up on something, feels on it, see if he can use it. If he can't use it, he'll move on to something else. Mm-hmm. The so-called black man doesn't do that. He'll come up on something and play around with it for 50 years. That's how we do it. This isn't nothing I'm saying. I'm trying to talk bad and mean. This is what we do. And we'll teach his child to do the same thing. And we'll beat his child ass if his child tries to go another way. We're wrong.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Imagine. Just imagine this. All these terms, all these people on the land came together and said, you know what, this is a homeland. This is what we're about to do. What do you think happened?
We take over.
We don't want to take over. Like what they like everybody else would. So that's why when you hear all these so-called scholars talk, they'll get people, because what we do, get people who learn from us, get information from us. And so the whole thing is, look, and this is what I always say, simple. I don't know who you are. I don't know who your great-grandma was. I don't know who your great-grandmama was. You know. Find out what she did and find out what's hers. That's what was passed down to you. Mm-hmm. That's what I tell them. Come on, man. We don't want to do that because we don't want to do. We like what we're doing now. We like the football games. We like the clown. Brother, you about to be wiped off this planet. There's a place in Georgia, on the eastern Georgia, a place called it's like a Stonehenge.
I know you're talking about. I can't remember the name.
Some stones. Yeah, and it tells all the foreigners that are coming over here. It tells them this is how you get rid of these dumb niggas. Why is something? Do you think you can go to England and put up something in your mother tongue in their land?
Mm-mm.
But they come and do it to you, and guess what they'll have you doing when they do it? They'll have you, yeah, boss, you can do that. This is where we are. This is the reality of what's going on. This is the reality of what we do. This is the reality of what we teach our children. This is what I mean. And imagine how we look. You call yourselves Moors. Imagine what Arabs are saying. Imagine what the people who come from Mauritania, the people that come from the northern part of Africa, the Spanish people. What do you think they're saying? And we don't care. I don't care what they say. Yeah, you care. Yeah, you care. You can try to lie and bullshit everybody else to try to make it seem like you know what you know. And so this is how. And so this is what. So like the civil rights movement. What I was saying with the school. What's the guy who he was the lawyer, Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah.
So earlier you said that they planned for 50 years down the road. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what Thurgood Marshall's grandson does?
What?
He's the CEO over the prison system.
Mm.
This is what happens. When you keep teaching your kids dumb shit, it moves. They got something planned for you. Guess what we don't know? We don't know. I didn't know. Huh? No, brother, that's how we sound.
Yeah.
So his grandson is the CEO over the prison system. And I didn't make up this name, but don't they call it the prison pipeline, going to school to prison? Don't they call that the prison pipeline?
Yeah.
You don't think that shit was made up years ago?
Yeah, it looked just like a school. It's structured like the prisons, the schools.
Like schools look just like the prison.
Yeah.
What we doing about it?
Nothing.
I'm a Hebrew Israelite. For real, nigga? For real? This is where we are. We can't get out that Bible. You read the first page of the Bible. If you go to the second page of the Bible, and I don't give a damn who you are a dumbass. They tell you that men create women. And you believe it. You believe it. To women. And you believe it. You teach your children that. You don't think they're going to be confused?
Yeah, I was confused.
No, I was confused. So I started asking questions. So you got people who call ourselves what do you call Moabites? This is where we are. So you have to remember that other people are listening to what we say. We call ourselves Moabites. Well, what are Moabites? Aren't Moabites? Weren't they created by an incestuous relationship? Lot's daughters fucking him.
Now, do we want to believe that? Because I don't go with that Bible stuff. I don't.
Brother, you see, you're doing the thing that keeps us fucked up. You keep taking it personal.
No. I was just speaking for the people, because there's a lot of people on this platform that feel probably like I feel.
Don't take it personal. This is what the so-called Black Americans do. They get there, and that's the first school you went to is Sunday school. That's the first thing they taught you, that bullshit that's in the Bible. And if you read the first page, you'll be like, huh?
Let me set one record straight though. Like if I ever expound on what you're saying, I'm not expounding personally. I'm basically expounding for for the people, because everybody
Right.
probably think So I gotta ask these questions for the people.
I mean, you can ask the questions, and but what I'm saying, I understand that, but don't make it like this is personal against you,
Oh,
because I don't
definitely
know
not.
your personal what you're doing.
Right, I
It's
agree.
not personal. And that's what we do, because we don't look at each other as a group of people, which is one of the reasons we get our asses kicked. We are, it's me, it's about me. You do you do you, nigga, I do me. That's how we is that how we think?
Hey, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's not about nothing. Nothing is ever personal, dude. We are getting wiped out. We are honestly getting and the people in the South can attest to this. And this, I have seen this happen a few times. So I travel around quite a bit. And sometimes I'll be in Birmingham, sometimes I'll be in Memphis, sometimes I'll be down in New Orleans, sometimes I'll be down in Tuscaloosa, sometimes I'll be down in Mobile, Tallahassee, Atlanta, Charlotte. And one of the things that you notice, and this is every day. And a brother had to bring this to my attention, because I don't look at TV.
Right.
This brother brought this to my attention. I was like, damn. He said, man, this was a friend of mine in Atlanta and Memphis. Two brothers told me this. So when I got to the airport, it's a few friends that I have that I just go hang out at their house. Mm. And so we're up talking one morning. I get there real early, about 6 o'clock in the morning. First story that hits on the news is some brother getting killed.
Yeah.
Second story, another brother getting killed. I'm like, damn, man, what's going on? He said, oh, man, that's nothing. He said, before noon hits, it'll be about 10 brothers that have been killed.
And I'm like, they don't talk
no,
about
they talk about it. Yeah, no, they talk about it. They put it on the news. See, we keep thinking that everything is about us. It ain't. Other people pick up. You don't think Chinese people pay attention to what's happening to you? You don't think other people pay attention to what's happening to you? They write that shit down, dude. So I was like, dude, you lying. And he was like, well, he said, I know you just got in. He said, but if you can just stay up until noon, you'll see for yourself. Man, he was absolutely right. At least 10 brothers. And this was just what he said, and he's a retired cat. He said, this is every day.
Yeah.
So just imagine you have, and like him, he say, but I'm sure it's more than that. This is what they tell you. They're telling you that they're getting rid of you. They're not telling you that. They're telling the rest of the foreigners coming over here. That's why they can move up and treat you like they treat you in these cities, because they know it ain't. Your thing is to kill each other out.
Right.
You love doing that. You love to show off that you can keys in America every day. What's going to happen?
Yeah. It's like 500.
Brother, yeah, a day. You will be, that's what that Georgia Guidestones is telling. Let's kill these niggas.
Yeah, Georgia Guidestones, that's what they call it. Yeah.
So, but another thing that it does, and this is something we never think about because we don't think 50 years down the road. So, a few years ago, this sister called me. Her name was Mary Neal. She's passed now, but she was one of these sisters, just like we be saying, you don't tell me what to do. I can do what I want.
Right.
She was like that. And I interviewed her one time, and she said, you know what got me out of that? I said, no. She said, my mother and father was sitting at home watching TV one night, and they heard a thump on the door. They opened the door, and the police was driving off. The police threw her brother, who they had killed, on the doorstep. It turned her totally around. She passed after that. But she told me, she was like, because she heard me on the radio and I talk like I'm talking now. She said, you absolutely right. She said, I used to be the same way. And she spent the rest of her life fighting to make sure we get justice in these churches. And she said it. She said, where we don't get justice at is we dog each other out.
Right.
The judges, the lawyers, they make sure we're dogged out. So this is what I mean when I be talking about these brothers that it's not the poor people are just used as fodder. The people who think they're a part of this, they don't mind doing you in. And so when these brothers, and that's why I call these brothers Buffalo Soldiers, modern day Buffalo Soldiers. They do what the Buffalo Soldiers do. Buffalo Soldiers went to kill out all the other brothers in the Midwest.
Right.
You love them. You love them. Who was the Tuskegee Airmen? The Tuskegee Airmen went to go fight other people, other places, while you were getting your black ass lynched right here. They weren't here for you. They was doing what they do for boss.
Right.
Guess who you love? And when you do that, guess what happens to you? You ensure that it keeps on happening. Buffalo Soldiers? Are you serious? They have newspaper articles, and you can go look these up. And this is what I'm saying. All this information is right at your fingertips.
Yeah, we love some Buffalo Soldiers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, anything that's meant to destroy us, we love it. Anything that meant to keep us confused and stupid, we love it. You can go read newspaper articles about how they would go. They used to call the people who lived in places like Kansas and Nebraska and Colorado. They used to call those people bushwhackers.
Yeah.
Why did they call them people bushwhackers?
Expound on that.
Because in those land masses where they call the Midwest, it used to be a jungle. See, like I'm saying, we're not into nature at all. Matter of fact, we're scared of nature. You read about the East Coast. I mean, just go pull up some old congressional records and some old books on the East Coast. They'd tell you that a squirrel could travel from Florida to Canada without ever touching the ground. That's how many trees it was.
That's a lot.
But we don't claim that because we always claim that we're other people from other places. We don't know nothing. I mean, seriously, you talk to the average Negro in their 70s or 80s, they're virtually retarded. They know Jesus, but that's about it. And we're adamant about not knowing nothing. Like I say, you getting dogged out in these schools. You don't care. You'll keep sending your kids there until their brains are rotten, which they're almost at now. What the people that you send to be great, what do? They work for them. Those people, what do they do to help the masses? Shouldn't by now we come up with our own electrical system? If you're the black man, you're the first man on the planet. Shouldn't you have your own electrical system by now?
Yeah.
Should the people in Flint, Miss Indians or the Chippewas, check out the people that live in the Michigan area? The Cleveland Indians. Who were the mascots? All you got to do is look back 100 years.
Yeah, I found out my great great grandfather was Chippewa.
What? Huh?
Yeah.
But you just said you was a Moor.
By definition, I didn't come from Africa. I was speaking.
No. I didn't. I'm saying, and this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you said that, brother.
Yeah.
I'm saying if your grandfather was a Chippewa, but you calling yourself a Moor, what is that going to do to the children? It's going to confuse them. That's all I'm saying. If your father was a Chippewa, and I say father, I know you say great, 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 but to me they're all the same because it's all you.
Right.
It's all you. Because what you set up for, what you do now, is what you're going to come back into later. This is stuff that we don't understand, we don't believe in because we believe in Jesus. Really? So would it be better for your children to know that their father was a Chippewa and what did those people do? Because when you look at the Chippewa and you look at those people, if you look at what they were doing, that's where the cars were. That's where the brother in the early 1900s. That's where Henry Ford got the ideas for the cars.
Right.
So when you teach it, so when your families, when you are the people who came up with the thing on cars, but you teach your kids that they're Moors, that car shit leaves their mind. They don't even look at themselves doing that because their fathers have taught them not we Moors, we Hebrew Israelites, we Africans, and everything, all the whole thing, the inheritance that they left for you, you just turn your back on it and walk away from it. We're gonna get our ass kicked for that. So that's why I'm like I'm at. That's why I'm like I am. Right. Come on, y'all. Damn. Really? You can't go to Africa. If you go to Africa and claim something, what happened to you is what happened to that sister who moved over there talking about she was African chief. And you know what happened to her. So we really, it's past time playing, brother.
Right.
It's past time playing.
Well, brother, I definitely enjoyed your build. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to do this again. And the reason why I say that, because I want to get actually a smoother interview where we don't have to go live and I could just post it up and it'll be smooth. But I'm glad you came out for me, showed me some support, man. And I just got a couple of questions on a couple of teachers though. What do you think about the way Dane Calloway is pushing his information, as far as like he's waking up people, and what you think about his new movement? Well, new information movement.
So Dane Calloway is like one of the cats that I was talking about. You get this information, and this is what the Negro does, and this is why we lose. You get information from people, but you don't build nothing with them. You go and do your own thing. We're gonna so you don't say nothing to the brothers because they know better, but they just trying to make money off of the people. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you're gonna find out is that black people have no money, and all the money they give to their boss. They give to the Asians. So these cats learn this information, and instead of and this is where brothers fail all the time. Instead of being at the people that they learned it from, instead of saying, okay, but what do we do now? Okay, where do you live at? Okay, well, I live in Alabama. Let's start making solar panels and let's pull everybody off the grid. Mm-hmm. We can't do that because everybody want to do their own stuff and then rip the people off and sell packages and all that bullshit. Then you have people, well, people love him. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, let them love him then. Right. So you can't say nothing, but what it does is it fucks us up. Because these motherfuckers learn information and they do the typical nigga shit.
Charge.
Take the information and fuck it up.
Yeah, one thing I can say, when I was learning from from your group and everything, it was no charging for the information. It was just learn, just humble yourself and learn. This man, he charging you for all kinds of information, man. I'm like, wow. But yeah,
and the people, but you always notice that people pay people, that black people, they only pay people to keep them stupid. They don't pay for anything of substance. And so this is what the brothers do. So that's why I asked you, can you imagine all these people, all these brothers who come up with all these different ideologies if we was on the same page?
Yeah, it'd be deep.
We'd be winning. But to ensure that we don't win, those people do what they do.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Well, y'all heard from the pioneer. This the man that I first seen this whole Aboriginal thing from for about 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And it was the movement. Well, I ain't gonna say movement, but it was very informative. I learned a lot of information from just that group, and I was hurt when I got kicked out. I should have been humble and learned. Just learn. You know what I mean? So,
brother, all you got to do is if you tell me something, I'm going to go look at it myself. Or it don't make no sense. If it don't make no logical sense, I'll just keep moving on. So that's why I always ask brothers questions, and that's why brothers don't like to talk to me, because I'm going to ask you, what the hell are you talking about? And I want you to explain it, because we can't have any confusion. And all these brothers that's talking all this Hebrew, Israelite, Egyptian, Moorish paradigm, when you ask what they talking about, they really don't know, because the people who taught them, they just taught them that. They didn't tell you what Moorish. I have a cousin who lives in Spain, who's a professor over at the University of Seville. And I asked her a question. I mean, and she's where everybody thinks a scholar and she's smart and blah 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 blah. And I go, she was telling me about the Moors of Spain, all the stuff they built over there.
Right.
And so I asked her, I'm like, well, where did the Moors do that before they came to Spain? She was like, huh?